Xinxingwan was dumbfounded. She looked at the figure in front of her, and a warm feeling surged in her heart. She hurriedly followed her, strolling toward the sunset. The two figures gradually disappeared in the evening sun. The Fengyun kingdom border was crowded these last few days, making the people a little uneasy, especially the residents who live near the border. The place was in darkness. All the people from various major forces came with heavy expressions. I heard that something strange happened at the border of Fengyun kingdom lately. A treasure has appeared, but I don't know what this treasure is. The man in green robes spoke. His face was cold as he looked around cautiously. I didn't expect Long Eagle's sect to come as well. Just as he said that, an old master in gray robe slowly stepped forward. He smirked and turned to the green-robed man next to him. "Young Master Zhang, long time no see." Zhang Tian sneered. It seemed that this time, the mystery treasure had attracted a lot of people. Even this old master of Everlasting Life sect was interested in it. However, no one knew what it was. Zhang Tianwen ignored the old master. He turned to look at the sky and frowned. "More people are coming. We need to go first. We must not let these people get to the treasure." Unfortunately, soon as Zhang Tianwen said that, a powerful force appeared and spread across the sky, shocking everyone. Zhang Tianwen stopped in his tracks. He turned to look at the sky behind him. His breathing suddenly grew heavy, and his expression abruptly tensed up. The crowd's faces also changed dramatically. They seemed panicked as they looked at the bright sky. A figure in a red dress appeared in the sky, looking so overbearing. She wore a mask, stood in midair, and stared at the people present. "Ninth Emperor, why did she come? Didn't they all keep this news from her? Yet she was here anyway, for extra chapters. This place is really lively." The Ninth Emperor laughed. "I wonder what you all gathering here for." Zhang Tianwen smiled faintly. "We're just taking a walk here." Yeah, just strolling around." That's right. We're bored, so we're just strolling around." The old master who had just spoken to Zhang Tianwen immediately responded. With these two speaking this way, the others also hurriedly nodded along. "We can't let the Ninth Emperor know that there's a mysterious treasure hidden here. Otherwise, the treasure will be snatched away by this robber." "Oh," the Ninth Emperor waved her long sleeves, chuckling. "Is that so?" From her tone, one could sense that she did not believe them. Everyone looked pissed, and some people even cursed the person who had revealed this to the Ninth Emperor. However, at this moment, someone suddenly spoke, breaking the silence. "Xinxingwan, you're here too." This voice was filled with arrogance. Everyone was stunned, following that person's gaze to the young girl who stood at the back of the crowd. That girl was indeed as beautiful as a painting. However, no one knew where this girl came from. Moreover, everyone's eyes were focused on the Ninth Emperor, and they did not notice this girl. Xinxingwan heard this familiar voice. She trembled as she clenched her fists tightly and closed her eyes. Endless anger surged in her heart. The young master of Xianming clan, Ouyang Ying, when the crowd saw Ouyang Ying's reaction, they were also somewhat surprised. It was said that this Ouyang Ying was born perverted. He already had countless beautiful concubines in at home, but soon as he saw another beauty, like how he saw this beautiful girl now, he would intend to take her as a concubine. However, based on the girl's reaction, she did not like Ouyang Ying at all. The old master standing next to Ouyang Ying deliberately lowered his voice and said, "Young master, the Ninth Emperor is here." Ninth Emperor." Ouyang Ying smiled and looked up. "This girl is my concubine. I never thought that I would find her here with another man. I believe that you need to return her, right? In this mainland, the strongest ones were the most important, and the weaker had no chance to survive. The Ninth Emperor had suddenly appeared in this mainland. She had never been in any forces and would forbid them to bully the weak. So, all the forces hated her, but still, they could not do anything about her. Therefore, he needed to find an excuse if he wanted to take Shun Qingwan back. To him, Shun Qingwan should be grateful that he was willing to take her as a concubine and should not reject his offer. The Ninth Emperor rested her hand on her cheek and looked at Ouyang Ying smilingly. "Really, Ouyang turned to Shun Xingwan, warning her with his eyes, and then turned to the Ninth Emperor. Yes, it's true. This bitch ran away with someone else. They'll take her back and teach her well. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew across the sky, and in the blink of an eye, the Ninth Emperor was standing in front of Ouyang. Me for extra chapters. With a poof, her leg landed heavily upon Ouyang's body, instantly kicking him away before he landed in the middle of the crowd. Ouyang spurted a mouthful of blood. He looked up at the Ninth Emperor angrily. Ninth Emperor, why would you still want to meddle in such a matter? Boom! The Ninth Emperor raised her hand and once again grabbed Ouyang from the ground. Her mask refracted a cold light in the sunlight. It was cold enough to send a chill down one's spine. You! Ouyang's face darkened, looking at the Ninth Emperor with even more monstrous anger. However, the Ninth Emperor then strangled him fiercely. She smiled coldly. Unfortunately, when I came just now, I passed by a small city, and I happened to see your Xianming clan's people slaughtering the residents to force a girl to be a concubine. Ouyang froze. He looked up at the Ninth Emperor and panicked. That girl was Shun Xingwan. So, do you now know why I want to kill you now? After saying that, the Ninth Emperor no longer gave Ouyang a chance to speak, and with a mighty force, she strangled Ouyang hard. Ouyang spurted blood again, turning the ground red. His head moved for the last time, and then nothing. The young master of Xianming clan had lost his life just like that. Shun Xingwan silently walked to the Ninth Emperor's side with a longing look upon her face. Everyone else's eyes were filled with horror, and they looked at the Ninth Emperor with more fear. The people of Xianming clan finally reacted and surrounded the Ninth Emperor in middle. Their young master had been killed before them. If they went back to Xianming clan, their master would not let them go. Now, they could only fight with the Ninth Emperor, even if they knew there was no chance of winning. The Ninth Emperor glanced at the people of Xianming clan coldly. She did not even need to make a move because a powerful force had suddenly risen from the ground, hitting all the people of Xianming clan. Their body exploded violently, and blood spilled all over the ground. Her gaze was still domineering and fierce, as if she was the ruler of this world, and it made people tremble hard like in hell. The Ninth Emperor walked toward Zhang Tianwen. Her gaze was cold while her body set off a powerful storm. Feeling such strong force, Zhang Tianwen subconsciously gulped, and his body trembled. Actually, we are not here for a stroll. We heard that there's a strange object hidden here, so the Ninth Emperor stopped and frowned. A strange object? Well, it seems that I will get something from this trip. Alwan, follow me, she said and smiled faintly. Shun Xingwan followed her obediently, docile and dutiful. She did not even glance at the people of Xianming clan lying on the ground. Her eyes were fixed upon the Ninth Emperor. Where's that strange object? She asked as she glanced at Zhang Tianwen coldly. Zhang Tianwen's face turned pale. His legs were trembling. He wanted to get away from the Ninth Emperor, but did not dare to move. I'm not sure. Oh, the Ninth Emperor raised an eyebrow. Then, lead the way. I want to see what kind of strange object is out of the ground and attracts so many people, too. I'm surprised that I still do not know about this. Those people were already frightened. Who knew that they were so frightened that they almost collapsed when they heard the Ninth Emperor's last sentence? It was hard to believe that the Ninth Emperor knew that they had deliberately hidden the news to keep her from knowing about the strange object. Me for extra chapters. The more people knew about this matter, the lower their chances of winning. Each of them hoped that they could find it. However, if the Ninth Emperor already knew about it, they were afraid that even after they put their best effort into getting the treasure, it would not be theirs. Yet everyone was already here, and they did not look like they would retreat. Even if there was no chance of winning, maybe they could still pick up some things that the Ninth Emperor did not want. The Ninth Emperor walked ahead with Shun Xingwan, and the people behind them subconsciously sighed with relief when they saw that the Ninth Emperor was not paying attention to them. I heard that the eldest grandson of the Nan family is also here. TSK, the Nan family is really pitiful. The whole family has been killed, leaving only Nan Chongfeng alone. When Nan Chongfeng was young, he was hidden somewhere, giving him the chance to escape the disaster. After more than 10 years later, he came back to avenge the Nan family. Unfortunately, what is the point of taking revenge? The Nan family is no longer there, leaving him alone in the world. Nan Chongfeng? The ninth emperor paused for a moment. She did accidentally think that this name sounded good. She did not think much about the other. She shook her head, and her eyes were filled with some regret. The whole family has been killed. It's such big revenge, sighed poor Nan Chongfeng. Wait. Soon, the noise in the desert once again went quiet. The ninth emperor was stunned. She turned around blankly. That person was the beautiful young man in white robes with long silver hair and a silver vertical line between the eyebrows. He was as beautiful as a stunning painting, and even the ninth emperor, who was used to seeing beauty, could not help but feel amazed at his beauty. This young man was too handsome, and he was the most beautiful-looking man she had ever seen. However, he was cold and expressionless. It's Nan Chongfeng of the Nan family. The crowd looked surprised. They knew that Nan Chongfeng was good-looking, but they did not expect this man to be this beautiful. They had long heard that there were countless beauties in the ninth emperor's manner, but the way she looked at Nan Chongfeng proved that the beauties in her manner were not as stunning as this Nan family's young master. Nan Chongfeng perhaps sensed her looking at him, so he looked up and met the ninth emperor's gaze in the air. However, he quickly withdrew his gaze, shyly. Shen Xinghuan was also a bit stunned when she saw Nan Chongfeng, but her expression changed as she looked at the ninth emperor next to her. Nan Chongfeng was indeed a handsome young man, but it still could not compare to the ninth emperor's beauty. It was really hard for anyone to resist such a look. After Shen Xinghuan saw that the ninth emperor was staring at Nan Chongfeng, she could not help but pout, touching her face. Perhaps I'm not beautiful enough, and the ninth emperor doesn't want to look at me anymore. This Nan Chongfeng, other than the looks, I really don't understand how he can attract the ninth emperor. Fortunately, the ninth emperor did not look too long. She then turned around and smiled faintly. She had liked beautiful people since childhood. Because of that, the girls in Cloud Mountain were all as beautiful as goddesses. However, her Feng Mountain had never accepted any man. Only Nan Chongfeng. He was so beautiful that she almost could not look away. Let's go, she said with a smile and shrugged. Everyone else came back to their senses and walked to the front. The most important thing today was to find the strange object. Me for extra chapters. Today's desert, for some reason, was so quiet. The quietness through the eerie aura made people shudder. The ninth emperor also did not know how long she must walk. She still did not find any strange object. Now, she even began to doubt whether this was a conspiracy against her. However, a few moments later, the whole desert suddenly shook. A fierce storm came. Sand and dust filled the sky, and some people with low strength directly disappeared into thin air in the storm, leaving no trace behind. You lied to me. The ninth emperor's voice was so cold that it could make people tremble. With these words, she made the present people panic. Zhang Tianwen's voice was filled with anxiety. Why would we lie to you? We wouldn't have come along if we wanted to deceive you. We really heard that there are strange objects hidden here. Who knew that such things would happen? His voice was tinged with tears and endless grievances. The ninth emperor turned and saw a huge python coming. This python was golden yellow, huge. It could swallow a dozen people in one bite. It was so big, and all the people were scared of it. Everyone was panicked. They just came to find a treasure, but who knew that they would encounter this kind of thing? The python moved too fast, rushing toward them through the sand and dust. The ninth emperor's face sank. An ancient, fierce beast. I did not expect it would appear here. I guess it deliberately created this to attract people. It was a fierce beast, not just a surrounding spirit beast, and would not be driven by humans, much less be contracted by them, and it could even swallow heaven and earth. It was born to kill, and it had no other meaning of existence other than killing. This was the origin of the fierce beast. It indeed can swallow the world. An extremely nice voice came from the side. The ninth emperor turned to look, and her gaze fell upon the young man's stunningly beautiful face. The young man smiled gently. The smile was beautiful, like a hand that was tantalizing her heart. The moment the ninth emperor saw the young man, she had only one thought. She wanted to take him home and raise him. However, now it was too late. The golden python was already in front of her, and with just one bite, it swallowed a group of people fiercely. All of you get out of the way. The ninth emperor jumped up to the sky, and a sword appeared out of thin air in her hand before she started stabbing the python several times with it. This was the only way to deal with the ancient fierce beasts. Hiss! The golden python hissed painfully, making the crowd tremble in fear. The ninth emperor's sword pierced through its tough skin, and blood flowed out, staining its skin red. The crowd was somewhat shocked. This was an ancient beast, and its body was like steel, tough and indestructible, but the ninth emperor could hurt it. Just how much power did it cost to do so? Everyone trembled. It seemed like the only one who could fight the ancient fierce beast was the ninth emperor. Therefore, even though many mainland people hated her, no one ever dared to provoke her. They could only curse her secretly and dared not even to say it out loud in front of her. Me for extra chapters. The ninth emperor's sword fell again, and this time she used more strength, and the long sword ruthlessly pierced into the golden python's skin, causing great pain to the golden python. Hiss! The golden python's eyes were red with a vicious look. Tell me, did you intentionally create that vision? The ninth emperor stood atop of the golden python, scanning it. She was still holding the long sword in her hand with a threatening look in her eyes. Blood dripped from the blade, causing the golden python's huge body to tremble. It tried desperately with all its might to throw the ninth emperor off its body, but the ninth emperor plunged the sword down again, heavily into its back. Hiss! The golden python was in pain. It was just hungry, and few people did come here nowadays, so it wanted to deceive some people to eat them. Who knew it would meet this vicious woman? Perhaps the pain was too intense. The golden python could not resist and hurriedly nodded. Its hissing was not as fierce as earlier. Are you the one who tricked people into coming here to satisfy your appetite? Hiss! The golden python nodded again, and its gaze was filled with tears. Its skin, harder than steel, was the reason why no one could hurt it. However, this woman was simply a monster. Seeing that the golden python had admitted it, the ninth emperor only walked away from it. She raised her hand, and the sword in her hand disappeared into thin air. She then commanded expressionlessly, "Go away." Hearing these words, the golden python immediately turned around and left, not daring to stay any longer. Perhaps this time, she would let the matter pass. However, in the future, she would never dare to do such things. When the ninth emperor turned her head, she found that Zhang Tengwen and the others' faces were all pale, with a look of horror on their faces. Why are you guys still frozen? This fierce beast has deliberately made up the vision about the strange object hidden here, only to trick people to come over. It's useless coming here. All of them were silent. This time, they had indeed blundered and were fooled by a snake. Moreover, they had almost died at the hands of this snake. Perhaps the news that the strange object did not exist made the crowd lose their will to continue, so they turned around, wanting to leave. The moment they turned around, the whole ground shook fiercely, and there was a crack in the ground, revealing the molten lava below. It was so hot that it made people panic. There's a volcano down here. The ninth emperor's face changed dramatically. Go! Perhaps it was this sentence that made those present even more frightened. Some of them lost the control to move their feet, and some even peed their pants. All their legs were trembling. The ninth emperor looked at the rolling lava below. She raised her hand fiercely and grabbed Shun Qingwan. In that instant, she threw Shun Qingwan away, sending her flying into the sky. You go to Feng Mountain and wait for me. Shun Qingluan's eyes widened. The sound of wind followed by that domineering voice made her tears flow, and it tore her heart. Ninth Emperor! However, the person in front of her no longer responded to her, nor looked at her me for extra chapters. She was high up and could only watch as the ground crack open, and even the ancient fierce beast that had just escaped fell into the pool of lava and was swallowed up by the rolling lava, unable to say its last words. What the hell is going on here? Why is there a volcano in this desert? And this volcano erupted. I'm not greedy for any more treasures. I just want to get out of here now. This place is too dangerous. Not only are there ancient fierce beasts, but there's also lava. Unfortunately, soon as they said that, the ground beneath their feet crumbled, and they fell into the pool of lava. The boiling hot magma drowned the heartbreaking wails. No matter how strong one was or how high one's status was in the mainland, when one encountered such a natural disaster, there was nothing one could do but wait quietly for death. If it were in the past, they could still fly away, but now flying in the air was no longer useful, so they could only wait for their impending death. The sky glowed red, reflecting the lava. It was as beautiful as the evening sun, but at the cost of countless lives. The ninth emperor took a few steps back, avoiding the crack. She tried several times to rise into the air, but fell again. Someone has set up a formation to trap us here. The ninth emperor frowned. The ancient beast is not the real culprit. Perhaps someone else was using it to destroy us. They're the more powerful person behind it, and that person must have set up this formation. As for why someone used the golden python, that golden python was the first to be swallowed by the lava. It died because of that person. Poor python. Suddenly, the ground under the ninth emperor's feet cracked, and just as she almost fell, someone firmly grabbed her. The ninth emperor looked up and saw a stunning face. The young man's beauty was so overwhelming that everyone in the world was amazed by it. There was a light in his eyes that the ninth emperor could not read. The ninth emperor gazed hesitantly. This young man looked cold, as handsome as an immortal. But why did he save her? Ninth emperor. Nan Changfeng looked at the ninth emperor and smiled. It seems that you don't remember me. We know each other? The ninth emperor asked blankly. Nan Changfeng smiled faintly. More than 10 years ago, you told me that in this world, there is nothing that one cannot do, and that humans themselves are a miracle. So I took revenge for the Nan family, and then came to you. Had the ninth emperor not told him that back then, Nan Changfeng would not have lived to see today. The ninth emperor froze, and this sentence gradually became clearer in her mind. It seemed that, indeed, there was such a thing. It was just that she had forgotten it. With Nan Changfeng's help, the ninth emperor leaped up and stood on the ground. She looked at the cracked gap and turned to look at Nan Changfeng. Do you trust me? Of course I trust you. Good. The ninth emperor smiled. She held the young man's hand gently, and her eyes were filled with light. Later, you and I will jump in together. Nan Changfeng turned to look at the ninth emperor. His eyes were clear, and he slowly nodded. All right. Me for extra chapters. From the moment I chose to come to you, I will always trust you. Regardless if it were lava or hell down there, I will certainly trust you. All the people were busy dodging the cracked ground, but in the twinkling of an eye, they saw the ninth emperor take Nan Changfeng down in a single bound and into that molten lava. They were so frightened and shocked. Crazy. These two are crazy. Even the ninth emperor is so scared that she commits suicide. Aren't we dead then? If even the ninth emperor could not avoid the disaster, let alone them. So, this time they were really in trouble. The crowd squatted in despair, all with a look of grief in their faces, and all had lost their confidence in dodging. However, at this moment, the ninth emperor had fallen into the lava, but did not feel the slightest pain. She then knew that her guess just now was right. She slowly opened her eyes, and the moment she did, she found that she was not standing in the magma, but had landed on top of it. She smiled. It seems that I have guessed it right. There is no volcano or lava here. It's all just an illusion. An illusion? Well, this illusion will transform with your thoughts. I was able to throw Shun Qingwan out initially, so why can't we fly into the air? That is precisely because of others' behavior. Someone is too frightened, afraid of not being able to fly here, and because of his fear, the illusion restricts his ability. He cannot leave, nor can he fly away. That way, others will also be influenced. The illusion can easily change the situation for all. The ninth emperor frowned. A cold light flashed in her eyes. Initially, I also did not notice that this is an illusion, until just now, when I almost fell into the lava. But I want to leave this place. Logically, if you cannot fly in the air, I cannot climb up either. Yet, in the end, I could still do it. As for, she glanced at the bodies on the ground. Those were the same people who had just gone forward together, and now they were all dead. However, there were no signs of injury or burn on their body. Yet each of these people's eyes was wide open, obviously scared to death. The reason these people didn't survive is that fear dominated them. They were scared to death. This is the ability of the illusionary realm. I just don't know who has actually set this up. Hard and fast, playing everyone in the palm of their hands. The ninth emperor did not expect that when she told Nan Changfeng to jump, the young man would really do so. I don't know whether to call him stupid or hee. Suddenly, a burst of cold laughter with an eerie aura that spread throughout the sky appeared. As expected, the ninth emperor can identify even such a realistic illusion. A man slowly descended from the sky as he spoke. This man had a smile upon his face, yet his face was gloomy. He smiled like a poisonous snake, and when a person looked at it, it seemed as if a poisonous snake had wrapped itself around that person's neck. It gave people a feeling of hate and discomfort. The ninth emperor looked at the man coldly. "Who are you?" "I'm here to find Nan Changfeng." The man smirked. "Ninth emperor, you'd better stay out of this business. This is a personal matter between Nan Changfeng and me." The ninth emperor sneered. "And what if I want to interfere? Then there is no way out for you." The man shrugged. "I am no match for you now, but I will never rest on my grudge with Nan Changfeng in this life. I will do everything I can to take revenge. That illusion just now was just a little lesson. Me for extra chapters." Nan Changfeng looked at the man coldly. "Your father could not stop me, let alone you. That old man is too stupid to know how to use conspiracies and tricks, but I will never let you go." Ha ha ha. The man did not seem to want to stay much, and he came only to reveal himself. Therefore, he looked at Nan Changfeng, said all these, and ascended into the air. The ninth emperor wanted to stop him from leaving, but the man had disappeared in the blink of an eye. It was as if he was never here. The ninth emperor frowned. Who is he? At this moment, Nan Changfeng's aura turned colder. When he looked at the ninth emperor, the coldness in his eyes all dispersed and was replaced with warmth. "His father killed my whole family, so I exterminated his clan, only he escaped." "Oh." The ninth emperor did not think much, as she was not interested in that man. She turned to look at Nan Changfeng and asked, "Then, do you want to go back with me? You are homeless now, and I happen to be short of a handyman over there." She stroked her chin. In Cloud Mountain, we're only a group of beautiful and gentle girls. How could they do those rough work? So she had come out here this time to bring someone back to do the chores. Well, this Nan Changfeng came just in time. A very good-looking person who was pleasing to the eye was the kind of person she liked. "All right," Nan Changfeng agreed. A smile bloomed upon his handsome face. "Oh, by the way, do you know how to cook?" The ninth emperor frowned. Even though she knew how to make some homemade herbal dishes, she was too lazy to do it, and the girls at home were all not good at cooking, so she could only find someone else. "I do. What about laundry?" "I do. So what you cannot do?" The ninth emperor held her chin and asked. Nan Changfeng was silent. He thought for a long time before he said, "Giving birth to a child." "I can't." The ninth emperor was speechless. For some reason, hearing these words, the ninth emperor actually had an urge to smack him to death. Luckily, looking at that beautiful face, she held it back. "Well, let's go home. The girls in my mountain are getting impatient." She had been away from home for some time now. The girls at home might start making trouble again. If she did not go back, she was afraid that they would tear down her manor. Nan Changfeng was slightly stunned. Go home. It seemed that he had been away without a home for a long time. The ninth emperor noticed his expression. She raised her hand and patted his head. Let's go. In the future, everywhere I am, it is bound to be your home as long as you can wash, cook, and clean. That'll be enough. Nan Changfeng smiled. Indeed, from now on, he would have a home within Cloud Mountain. A group of young girls rushed out, their eyes filled with surprise, especially after sensing the familiar aura. Suddenly, all of them froze, standing still and not moving. Even a wolf girl, who wanted to pounce over, could not help but stop, bite her lip, and stand still. Me for extra chapters. The ninth emperor alone, in a red dress, was stunning. Her mask had been taken off, revealing her beautiful face. A young man followed next to her. He was so charming, with the silver hair that accentuated his beauty and the silver vertical lines between the eyebrows, like lightning, stunning everyone's eyes. However, when the girls saw the young man, there was only resentment in their eyes. The ninth emperor went out, but how come she brought back a man? We don't need men in Feng Mountain. Ninth emperor. The wolf girl Tian Xian slowly walked toward the ninth emperor, and her gaze flooded with grievances. Who is he? Oh, the ninth emperor raised her eyebrows. I got him to do some chores. A handyman? Hearing this, the young girls were relieved. Since the boy was so beautiful, they were really afraid that he would bewitch the ninth emperor. Moreover, the ninth emperor never seemed to like men. She only wanted girls. Thinking of this, they were even more relieved, and the way they looked at Nan Changfeng was not as hostile as it was just now. Changfeng, the ninth emperor stroked her chin and turned to look at Nan Changfeng. To conveniently take care of our living and home, you will live next door to me. Is that fine? The young man smiled stunningly. All right, I'm tired. I want to rest first. Oh, his name is Nan Changfeng. The ninth emperor, who wanted to leave the place, paused for a moment. She smiled and said, now, he is also part of us here, so don't bully him. Oh, Tian Xian pouted a little aggrieved. The ninth emperor just brought him back, but she had become so protective of him. If more time went by, would there no longer be a place for them? Just thinking about it, Tian Xian was a little worried. They did not feel good about men, but on the contrary, the ninth emperor seemed to like him a lot. Fortunately, he was only a handyman. Otherwise, it would not take long for the ninth emperor to fall for him. With his look, he was deliberately trying to hook up with the ninth emperor. Of course, the ninth emperor did not know the complex thoughts of the girls. She was indeed a little tired. She stretched her back and went to the backyard. As soon as the ninth emperor left, the smile on Nan Changfeng's face also disappeared. He looked so cold in his white robes, as handsome as an immortal. Looking at the young man with his cold appearance, the girls could not imagine that he was brought back by the ninth emperor to do chores. Did she not want to keep him as a male pet? Nan Changfeng, Tian Xian mused for a moment and said, you are the only man in our Cloud Mountain, so she paused for a moment and hummed. There is one thing I must tell you. Nan Changfeng scanned Tian Xian coldly, and his face was expressionless. Tian Xian gritted her teeth. The ninth emperor doesn't like men. Just look at Cloud Mountain. There are no men here. Nan Changfeng ignored Tian Xian and turned around to walk in the direction where the ninth emperor had just left. Seemingly, he did not take Tian Xian's words to heart. Tian Xian froze. Her face was red from anger. Bastard. I think he does not have good intentions. He is coming for the ninth emperor. Tian Xian, I don't think so. The one who said this was another girl, in a green dress, with a clear and lovely look, along with a pair of eyes as clear as water, extraordinarily pleasing to the eye. When she smiled, there were also two shallow dimples. The ninth emperor has said that he is a handyman. He can't have feelings for the ninth emperor. But if the ninth emperor really has a man, I am afraid that she will not care about us anymore. All men are bad. Each of them will take 3 or 4 concubines at once. In their eyes, we women are just clothes. The ninth emperor is a good and perfect person. How could she be deceived by those bastards? Me for extra chapters. That's right, that's right. The ninth emperor brought me back because my father's concubine always bullied me. My father spoiled his concubine and abused his wife. For the sake of that concubine, he gashed my mother to death and treated me harshly. If not because of the ninth emperor, I would have been tortured to death by that concubine. So, I do not believe in men. They are so philandering and blame the women for being jealous. It was so difficult to find a man who would devote himself to one woman in this world. They could not imagine that the mighty ninth emperor had to compete with other women for her man's love. It might ruin the ninth emperor's reputation. Don't worry. If the ninth emperor really liked him, she would not have just got him to work as a handyman. She could have directly brought him back as her husband. But I think she doesn't have the heart to do so, a girl in a red dress said smilingly. Moreover, the ninth emperor already has us. What else does she need men for? The ninth emperor was so powerful. She surely did not need those bastards to accompany her. She already had them, and that was enough. The women sighed in relief. They knew the ninth emperor well. If she really liked him, she would directly marry and bring him into the bridal chamber. So why would she call him a handyman? Impossible. It must be that they were thinking too much. At this moment, they did not know, because of their momentary negligence, Nan Chongfeng had taken the opportunity to get close to the ninth emperor and made her fall for him to the point where she wanted to marry him. It was night. The moonlight poured like water. The ninth emperor turned around and froze. Her eyes widened. Her gaze fell upon a handsome face, the beauty that made her heart skip a beat. Nan Chongfeng. Her face changed dramatically, and with a hard slap, she woke the young man lying next to her. Nan Chongfeng opened his eyes and stared at the ninth emperor smilingly. You're awake? The ninth emperor's face darkened. Nan Chongfeng, why are you in my bed? I have arranged a room for you. So what are you doing here? She did not notice when he got into her bed. Nan Chongfeng smiled innocently. I came to warm your bed. I was afraid you might be cold at night. The ninth emperor was slightly stunned. She realized that she had misunderstood Nan Chongfeng and said embarrassedly, Oh, I thought you wanted to do something to me. But why do you want to warm my bed? Nan Chongfeng looked so innocent. Such a young man. One could not imagine that he had any ill intention. His gaze. It could make the ninth emperor's heart skip a beat. As I said, I will do everything, including warming the bed, which is also one of my tasks. The young man's expression was sincere and serious, leaving no room for doubt. The nine emperors thought about it for a while and surprisingly felt that what he said made sense, nodding slightly. Well, then you will warm my bed before I go to sleep. Don't climb into my bed in the middle of the night. If I had a heart problem, I would have been scared to death by you. Everyone would be shocked if suddenly there was another person on the bed in the middle of the night. But the ninth emperor was silent for a moment. I brought you back to take care of everyone in my manor. Before she could finish her words, the young man suddenly got up and pressed her against his chest. His gentle gaze disappeared and was replaced by a cold aura. Even the surrounding air became tense. I will only warm the bed for you. Me for extra chapters. His voice was firm and insistent, leaving the ninth emperor with no way to refuse. At this moment, the two were so close to each other, so close that the young man's breath brushed against her face, causing her eyes to narrow slightly. She then raised her hand and pulled the young man's lapel, rolling over and pressing him back. She smirked. Nan Chongfeng, I don't like people pressing me down. It has always been only me pressing people down. As long as you let me warm your bed, I'll do whatever you want. Nan Chongfeng smiled, and the coldness on his face gradually dissipated. The ninth emperor frowned. She perhaps did not understand. Nan Chongfeng just said that this was only one of his chores, but he looked so persistent to warm her bed. What actually he wanted from her? However, all her suspicions disappeared as she looked into the young man's pure eyes. She could have overthought it. Nan Chongfeng was not someone who had ill intentions. He came here for her, so it was understandable that he was unwilling to take care of others. The ninth emperor had some headaches as she thought about this messy cloud mountain. Should she find some more people to take care of those women? All right, the ninth emperor agreed to Nan Changfeng's suggestion. You can warm my bed only, but you have to cook for others too. I did not want to find other men to take care of them. Otherwise, I am afraid that all of them will be furious and cause trouble in my cloud mountain. The girls in her manor hated men. When she brought back Nan Chongfeng, she noticed that they were already unhappy. If she brought another man back, the girls might just burn down Cloud Mountain. However, if she brought some girls back, she could not let them do the chores. The girls had to be spoiled. Nan Chongfeng nodded slowly with a smile upon his lips. All right, so what do you want to eat tomorrow? The ninth emperor stroked her chin. You can just cook whatever you want. When she was at home, she would occasionally make some herbal dishes. However, when she was not here, she was afraid the girls would eat raw food for a long time. So, as long as the cooked food could be eaten, everything was good. I'm going to go back to sleep. You go back to your room. The ninth emperor stretched lazily, leaning on the back of the bed. All right, I will bring the meal in for you tomorrow, so you don't have to go out for your meal. Nan Chongfeng smiled faintly. The ninth emperor was fine with these words. They were all eating separately in their room, so she did not feel that there was a problem with what Nan Chongfeng suggested. After a final look at the ninth emperor, Nan Chongfeng got up and left her bed. After Nan Chongfeng had left the room, drowsiness came again. The ninth emperor felt sleepy again and continued to sleep. The next day, the dining room looked a bit dusty because no one had used it for a long time. Nan Chongfeng stepped in with his white robe. He looked around, and his face was expressionless. Qing Zhu, a green snake slithered out of his sleeve, enveloped by a burst of green light, and gradually transformed into an elegant young man. Master, Qing Zhu turned to look at Nan Chongfeng. He might not be fully awake yet as he lazily asked, "What are you calling me for?" Nan Chongfeng looked at him coldly. "Cook." Qing Zhu's face stiffened. "Cook? Me?" "Yes." Nan Chongfeng nodded calmly. "Later, you will follow what I do, and I will teach you." The corners of Qing Zhu's mouth twitched, and his gaze was filled with surprise. "Master, why are you asking me to cook? If you want to do it, just do it yourself." "Why? Why did he have to ask him?" "Me for extra chapters." Nan Changfeng's face was expressionless, and his voice was clear and cold. "The meals I make are for her alone. You can cook the meals for the others." Qing Zhu looked at Nan Chongfeng, dumbfounded. The human world is too complicated. It's not something that a snake like me can understand. But Qing Zhu wanted to cry. Why would his master think that a snake could cook well? Nan Changfeng's voice grew colder. "If you refuse, then it is useless for me to keep you. Later, I will make snake soup for her." Snake soup is a great tonic, so I don't want to waste it. Qing Zhu froze, and he looked at Nan Chongfeng in disbelief. Master wants to cook me to serve a woman? He wanted to cry, but held it back. "Oh, all right, master. Just give me the orders. He'll do the rest." Nan Chongfeng smiled faintly. In his life, he would only warm his bed for her alone. His cooking skills, too, should only be tasted by her alone. A burst of fragrance awakened the ninth emperor. She opened her eyes and saw a table full of delicacies. The scent enticed her and made her stand up immediately. "I have prepared the water for you. Now, do you need me to dress you?" The young man smiled gently. "That won't be necessary." The ninth emperor climbed off the bed, dressed up, and freshened up before sitting at the table. Her eyes lit up. "You did all of this?" "Well, I've always needed to take care of myself when I'm away from the Nan family these few years. That's why I know how to do everything." "Oh, did you prepare one for Tianxian and the girls?" The ninth emperor raised her head to look at Nan Chongfeng and asked. Nan Chongfeng smiled. "Their foods have been sent over. However, theirs was cooked by Qing Zhu." Of course, he did not say it out loud. Nan Changfeng's cooking skills were indeed good. At least, it was the best meal that the ninth emperor had eaten over the years. Even better than those in restaurants. "Chafeng, from now on, you will stay by my side. Don't leave again." The ninth emperor put down the chopsticks in her hands and smiled. "If I get used to your cooking, I'm afraid that I won't be able to get used to others anymore." "Great." Nan Chongfeng gently brushed the ninth emperor's hair and combed her long hair. Her body stiffened. He was so close to her, and she was a little uncomfortable. However, she was not disgusted. "Sit down. We'll have a meal together." "I'm not hungry." Nan Chongfeng shook his head smilingly. They'll just watch you eat. Why? Because watching you eat makes me feel already full. That made the ninth emperor almost choke on her food. She looked up at Nan Chongfeng, and her face darkened. You mean you can't eat when you see my face? Nan Chongfeng was speechless. He was silent for a moment. I mean, you're showy. Oh. Only then did the ninth emperor breathe a sigh of relief and quietly put down the brick she held in her hand. I thought you couldn't eat after seeing my face. Me for extra chapters. One earlier, she had almost smashed him with the brick in her hand. Fortunately, it was only a misunderstanding. However, soon, the ninth emperor was attracted by the food and did not talk more with Nan Chongfeng. She ate all the dishes served to her. When Tian Xian passed by, she happened to see the ninth emperor eating the food like a glutton. She was dumbfounded, confused. Ninth emperor, is it very delicious? Why did she think it was only average? You guys don't think Changfeng's food is extremely delicious? The ninth emperor put the chopsticks in her hand down and asked. Tian Xian froze, hesitated for a moment, but still answered honestly. Average. Just better than us. At least he cooked the food. They had eaten a lot of raw food, and their requirements were not very high. It was fine as long as it was cooked. However, the ninth emperor was acting as if she had been hungry for a long time. Oh, the ninth emperor narrowed her eyes. Your demands are too high. Nan Changfeng's food is at least the best I've ever eaten. So don't ask for too much. If you ask for more, you'll continue to eat raw food. Tian Xian grimaced. She was just telling the truth, and as a result, the ninth emperor was too protective of him. However, what the ninth emperor said was true. At least, he cooked the food. If she asked for more, she was afraid that they would only eat raw food after this. Tian Xian trembled as she thought of those days. Eating raw food every day. She no longer wanted to live like that. Ninth Emperor, there's a girl outside looking for you. Tian Xian finally remembered the purpose she came to the ninth emperor. She hesitated for a moment and asked, Is that girl a new one you found, ninth emperor? The ninth emperor looked at Tian Xian blankly. A girl? Well, that girl seems to be called Shun Qingwan. Shun Qingwan. Only then did the ninth emperor remember the girl she had thrown out of the illusionary realm. She was stunned and asked, She didn't come yesterday? No, she just got here. Tian Xian replied indifferently. Oh, the ninth emperor nodded. It seems that she is too slow, but it's fine. You guys go and prepare a room for her. Soon, she will be a part of our Cloud Mountain. Yes, ninth emperor. Tian Xian smiled as she turned and walked out. She left behind only the ninth emperor and Nan Chongfeng in the room again. The ninth emperor was probably full. She stretched and stood up lazily. She then pushed open the door of the room and walked out. The sunlight poured upon her face. Her face seemed more stunning, and the beauty was magnificent. The people of Cloud Mountain might have accepted Nan Chongfeng, and they were not as wary as they were yesterday, but they were still a little uncomfortable with the sudden addition of a man to Cloud Mountain. These girls did not feel good about men. It's been a long time since I've been to the Divine Herb sect. The ninth emperor lowered her gaze. She was silent for a moment, then raised her head to look at the blue sky. Now it's time to go to the Divine Herb sect. After leaving Cloud Mountain this time, she came back again too hurriedly, passing by the Divine Herb sect without even visiting it. After thinking about it, the ninth emperor did not even say goodbye to the people in Cloud Mountain before she left. When she left, Nan Chongfeng stood where she was standing just now, gazing at the disappearing figure pensively. Master, in a flash, Qingzhu appeared before him and asked, The ninth emperor is gone. Me for extra chapters. MHM. Nan Chongfeng faintly responded. He did not say anything and simply headed down the mountain. His white robes fluttered in the wind, like snow, and in just a moment he disappeared. The Divine Herb sect was one of the 3 great sects in the mainland. The world knew that the ninth emperor had autonomy over the Divine Herb sect, so no one dared to find trouble with the Divine Herb sect. The Divine Herb sect had grown rapidly over the years, and now it had become one of the 3 major sections. The ninth emperor had just appeared in front of the Divine Herb sect's gate when a dragon whistle rang through the sky, emitting an earth-shattering sound as it pounced toward the ninth emperor. As the black dragon rushed toward her, it flashed in the air and transformed into a handsome young man with fair skin and a pair of clear eyes. Ninth Emperor, why did you come to see me so late this time? The young man asked pitifully. Ever since you left me at the Divine Herb Sect, you have never visited me, and I haven't even seen you for a long time. He felt as if he was like an abandoned puppy, waiting for his master to come back. I forgot. The ninth emperor's eyes were filled with guilt. Back then, she had tricked this dragon into following her back, and after that, she had totally forgotten about him until now. The ninth emperor's words were like a bolt from the sky, hitting him hard on the head. It made him dumbfounded. Ninth emperor said that she had forgotten me? This woman clearly does not have me in her heart. The young man bit his lip pitifully. Well, the ninth emperor turned to the young man. How's my herb garden? The two little ones that were stolen back then. How are they growing now? Still the same. Oh, the ninth emperor smiled faintly and said, Let's go and see my herb's garden. After she said this, she walked in the direction of the Divine Herb Sect's back mountain. Within the Divine Herb Sect was a place that was forbidden. That was where the ninth emperor's herb garden was located, guarded by the black dragon, and it would never let anyone take even one step into it. At this moment, the herb's garden was filled with the herb's aroma, so refreshing and made one feel so comfortable. In this herb's garden, there was a special place where the two spirit herbs grew. One of them was a small red flower, surrounded by purple leaves, with open spit, and seemed to swallow people. At its side, there was a nourished sapling guarding it. However, due to some pressures, the surrounding spirit herbs appeared to be wilted. It was as if these two spirit herbs had absorbed the spiritual energy in the world. Wherever they were, there was no longer room for other spirit herbs to grow. Not grown yet. The ninth emperor sighed and sat down in front of the two spirit herbs. She grabbed a porcelain bottle nearby, carefully poured it onto the two spirit herbs. Vines grew out of the small red flowers, like a tentacle, gently brushing the ninth emperor's face. The ninth emperor smiled and touched the vines gently, as if she was afraid to hurt them. The black dragon looked at it. It then turned around and walked out of the herb garden, watching her from afar. The ninth emperor sat next to the spirit herbs and took out a jug of wine with a smile on her lips. Fu Chun, Ching Han. This time I went out and met an extremely beautiful-looking young man. He is really the most beautiful man I have ever seen. If you guys see him, you will like him too. Me for extra chapters. I will bring him to meet you later. I just don't know when you will grow up. She lay in a field of spirit herbs lazily, smiled, and drank a jug of spirit wine. Her smile was so stunning that it was unforgettable. The black dragon came in just in time to see this stunning scene. He froze and was lost in his thoughts. The ninth emperor is so beautiful. Even when she's sleeping, she still looks so stunning. The young man smiled as he slowly walked toward the ninth emperor, lying on the ground. He stopped when he reached her, and his gaze fell upon her stunning face. If he could follow her for the rest of his life, no matter how much he was asked to pay, he was willing to do so. The young man squatted down and gently caressed the ninth emperor's face. Her skin was very smooth, and the young man could not move away for a while. However, the ninth emperor abruptly opened her eyes. She gazed sternly and coldly at the young man. This was the first time he had seen such a look from the ninth emperor, and he could not help but freeze and tremble. Are you a man? The ninth emperor tilted her head and asked lazily. The black dragon froze. Ninth emperor, get lost. The ninth emperor kicked the black dragon, sending him rolling a few meters away. His body rolled on the ground down the hill. She then lay on the ground again. Her red dress spread around her body. It was the most stunning scenery in this herb garden. The small red flower with purple leaves began to grow larger under the light wind gradually and finally became a quilt-like size, gently covering her body, blocking the wind of the night for her. The next day, the ninth emperor woke up and found that the sky was already bright. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and stood up from the ground. The first thing that caught her eyes was the shivering figure of the black dragon at her feet. His body was curled into a ball, and his black robe was stained with dust. He looked at the ninth emperor pitifully. He looked like he was about to cry. Seeing the black dragon in such a pity state, she was stunned and asked, "What did you do last night? How did you get so messy? Oh, did I not become like this all because of you?" Of course, the black dragon did not dare to say it out, so he chuckled and said, "I took a nap yesterday and accidentally rolled down the mountain. That's why I am like this." Oh, the ninth emperor frowned. "I'm leaving later." "Leaving?" The black dragon froze, stood up from the ground, and walked toward the ninth emperor. "You just came back, and you're leaving already?" Back then, he was determined to follow the ninth emperor, so he had come to Divine Herb Sect with her, without rebellion. However, after she left him at the Divine Herb Sect, she had disappeared and only just returned now. "I didn't expect her to come back for just one night and leave again." The ninth emperor shrugged. "I just came back to see these two spirit herbs, and now that I see that they are growing well, I am relieved. Big Black, from now on, they are still in your hands. You must take care of them for me." But what about me?" The Big Black did not ask that out loud. Perhaps, in his heart, it had long had an answer. "Me for extra chapters." The ninth emperor left after saying that and never looked back. Big Black stood behind her, gazing at her figure for a long time, and did not look away. Until her figure completely disappeared, he was still standing in the distance, dazed. His black robe fluttered a little in the light breeze. His handsome face was full of aggression and reluctance, but he still did not speak to stop her from leaving. The ninth emperor is very busy. She has a lot of things to do. So, how can I hold her back? After he raised the two spirit herbs to maturity, he would go to her. Unfortunately, the black dragon never thought that he no longer had the opportunity to leave the Divine Herb Sect. When he was finally able to go looking for her, he would use a different identity and accompany her for the rest of her life. On top of the mountain, the young man, dressed in white, stood on the ground. He stared at the ninth emperor, who had just come out of the Divine Herb Sect. He smirked. Standing next to the young man was a man in a green robe. He followed the young man's gaze, and after seeing the ninth emperor stepping out, he froze. For some reason, he always felt that his master seemed to be inseparable from the ninth emperor now. "Let's go." The young man turned around and walked away. "Let's go back to Cloud Mountain." "Master, is the ninth emperor going back?" "Yes." Nin Chongfeng smiled coldly. He frowned as he thought of the black dragon yesterday. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He then turned to look at the ninth emperor, and a gentle smile suddenly bloomed upon his face. The young man in the green robe was stunned. The ninth emperor has poisoned master. Since he followed his master back then, he had never seen his master cared so much about a woman. Now, his master was even secretly following her. TSK. Qing Zhu shook his head. "Human feelings are just complicated. Even master has fallen into it. I don't want to be like him for the rest of my life." The ninth emperor came out of the Divine Herb Sect after checking up on her spirit herbs. Since she had finished her task, she should also return to Cloud Mountain. The Cloud Mountain was not very far from Divine Herb Sect. Only by walking, a night was enough to get there. However, when she entered the mountain, she found that Cloud Mountain was very quiet today. Even though she was not used to this quiet, she did not have any suspicion and walked straight into Cloud Mountain. Usually, every time she returned, Tian Xian and others would stand here, waiting for her. However, there was no one here this time. She frowned and rushed toward the backyard. Along the way, she did not find a single person. It was very quiet and filled with a cold aura. Until she stopped after she saw the young man standing in the lake. The young man was very beautiful, with fair skin. His long silver hair was very dazzling, and he looked more stunning under the sunlight. It actually made the ninth emperor want to marry him. Just when the 9 emperors hesitated, the young man had already pulled her hand and dragged her into the lake. The 9th emperor broke the water's surface. Her wet hair stuck to her cheeks. She then asked, "Where are Tian Xian and the girls?" "Me for extra chapters." "Oh, They said they hadn't come down for a long time, so I gave them some silver and they left. Qing Zhu hid in the tree. Hearing this from Nan Changfeng, it could not help but chuckle. Obviously, it was Master who asked me to coax and persuade the girls to go out, and had spent countless amounts of silver on this. Now, he suddenly said that the girls wanted to go down the mountain? Oh, the ninth emperor was relieved. She smiled, raised her hand, and pulled Nan Changfeng close to her. Their bodies almost touched each other, and she could even feel his warm breath. Changfeng, don't appear in front of me like this again, she smirked. Otherwise, I will force you to marry me. Nan Changfeng smiled. His body was floating in the lake water. His pair of eyes were very clear and made him look so innocent. Seeing this pair of eyes, the thought that she had just now suddenly disappeared. To her, Nan Changfeng was as pure as the white paper. If you want to force me, then, Nan Changfeng smiled. I can't resist. The ninth emperor was speechless. It sounded as if she was a bully. The ninth emperor smiled and patted Nan Changfeng's handsome face. If I'm a cruel woman, I would have married you when I brought you back. But she did not say anything more and just wanted to leave the lake. Qing Zhu quickly noticed her and threw the fruit's peel into the water. The ninth emperor accidentally stepped on it, slipped, and lunged toward Nan Changfeng. Nan Changfeng reached out, wrapped his arms around her waist, and both of them fell into the lake. However, he held the ninth emperor tightly and did not let her go. The lake water was clear, and the ninth emperor could see Nan Changfeng's handsome face in the water. She leaned against his chest, and the warmth made her heart suddenly beat faster, so fast that it almost jumped out her chest. This was the first time in her life that she had this feeling. He was just a naive young man whom she had just abducted. The ninth emperor panicked. Her hand fell upon Nan Changfeng's chest, forcefully pushing him away. She then got out from the lake with a splash of lake water. Nan Changfeng followed closely behind her. His smile was stunning, but his eyes were always fixed upon the ninth emperor. The ninth emperor gritted her teeth and jumped out of the lake. Her wet dress revealed the outline of her body as she rushed toward the backyard. When the ninth emperor left, Nan Changfeng's face sank, and he glanced coldly at Qing Zhu, who was hiding in the tree. What did you see? Qing Zhu froze for a moment. I didn't see anything. In the future, when she's here, you are not allowed to appear. He sneered. The ninth emperor was just drenched, and her dress stuck to her body. With such a look, he could not let others see it. Even though Qing Zhu was just a snake, he was still a male snake, so if it were not his contracted spirit beast, perhaps he would have ruined its eyes just now. Qing Zhu subconsciously gulped, trembling. I've helped Master just now, but why is Master so angry? Master, get lost. All right, me for extra chapters. Qing Zhu leaped from the tree and hurriedly left. It's so fast, as if someone was chasing it from behind. The ninth emperor went straight back to her room to change her clothes. After changing, the ninth emperor sighed in relief. Her gaze sank as Nan Changfeng's stunning face appeared in her mind. Next time, if Nan Changfeng tempted her unintentionally, and if she were to do something harsh to him as payback, it would be Nan Changfeng's fault. As for why it was unintentional, Nan Changfeng was not only innocent, but also seemed to have a pure heart and mind. So, it could never be intentional. It must be an unintentional act. Suddenly, someone pushed open the door of her room. The ninth emperor looked up and saw the young man's handsome face. He was already dressed in white, as handsome as an immortal, slowly walking in through the door. A smile grew upon his face. Changfeng, the ninth emperor touched his face gently. If you want to bathe, do it in your room. Don't do that again in front of me. Nan Changfeng smiled. After you pick me up, I'm already your man. So whatever you want to do, I will not refuse. The ninth emperor's face darkened. This guy really thought of her as a bully? She brought him back only as a handyman, and she never had any other intention. If he was so careless again that made her have any ill intentions, that would be his fault. Changfeng, did Tian Xian and the girls say when they would be back? I don't know. It might take a while. There was a smile in Nan Changfeng's gaze. The ninth emperor frowned. Why does it take so long? What are they going to do? It might be because they haven't left the mountain for such a long time, so they don't plan to come home so soon. Oh, the ninth emperor stroked her chin. Cloud Mountain was suddenly quiet, and she was still a bit not used to it. Then, let's go and find them. Let's go. The ninth emperor stretched her body and walked out of the manor. Fengyun Kingdom, Imperial City. It was bustling and lively with people. Tianxian had never left the mountain since she was taken back by the ninth emperor a few years ago, and this was the first time she had left and gone so far away. Tianxian, the green-dressed woman on the side, named Dongfang Yu, gazed at such a bustling scene with a light in her eyes. I actually think that Nan Changfeng is not a bad person. At least, he has a lot of money and gave us so much money. Tianxian pursed her lips. She was scornful of Nan Changfeng, but it was only because of the ninth emperor. If that guy did not have any wrong thoughts about the ninth emperor, she would be able to accept him. Nan Changfeng said that there's a restaurant over here with food that tastes good. Why don't we go and try it? A bright smile raised upon Tianxian's face. After leaving Cloud Mountain, they were instantly attracted to the bustle of this new world. She and Dongfang Yu liked the food, while the others had no appetite for food, so they went to other places. At this moment, only Dongfang Yu and she were left within the Imperial City. Let's go. Me for extra chapters. Dongfang Yu's eyes lit up as she smelled the fragrance from the tavern. However, just as she was about to walk into the tavern, a person suddenly walked past her with a spring in her steps and into the tavern. The person was a beautiful girl, followed by the guards. Those guards were apparently wary of everyone, so they gave Dongfang Yu a fierce push away. Dongfang Yu stood firm. Her eyes were filled with anger. She turned to look at the group of people at the front. Just as she was about to burst out in anger, Tianxian raised her hand, pulled her sleeve, and shook her head. Don't forget, we are out here representing the ninth emperor, so forget it. If you're taking to heart such a little thing, wouldn't it embarrass the ninth emperor? At this moment, Tianxian had already forgotten that no one knew that they were the ninth emperor's people because they had never taken a step down from Cloud Mountain. However, at the bottom of her heart, she always put the ninth emperor's reputation first and did not care about anything else. The beautiful girl, perhaps sensing something, looked back at Tianxian. She frowned, and soon she withdrew her gaze again and turned toward the inside of the tavern. Noble lady, the servant who followed the girl said indignantly, those two women dared to block your way. Mu Qingyao smiled. No harm. Don't mind them. As she said that, Mu Qingyao was already walking toward the table on the second floor and never looked at the two women outside the tavern again. Tianxian frowned and looked at Mu Qingyao coldly. She hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. Unfortunately, the last table was booked by Mu Qingyao, and they could only dine in the hall. Inside the tavern were voices of discussion filling the hall. I heard that noble lady is going to get married to the Imperial Preceptor. The person who was supposed to marry the Imperial Preceptor was Little Nine of the Mu family. Unfortunately, Little Nine disappeared 20 years ago. She and the Imperial Preceptor had been engaged since childhood. Not long after her disappearance, the old lady of the Mu family forced Mu Yi to marry the princess, and later, she gave birth to Mu Qingyao. It is rumored that Mu Yi was put under countless pressure after marrying that wild woman. With the Mu family power, how could Mu Yi marry that kind of woman? Later, after the woman and Little Nine's disappearance, Mu Yi listened to the old lady and married the princess. Fortunately, he married the princess. Now, the Mu family has such achievements. Noble Lady Qingyao is a talented girl since childhood and cannot be compared to even Little Nine. The Mu family was big, one of the top families in this kingdom, even before getting into the imperial family. Little Nine was born when there were already 8 children, so according to the family's custom, she became Little Nine of the Mu family. After Mu Yi became the emperor's son-in-law and the prince's sidekick, he moved out of Mu Manor. Mu Qingyao was a noble lady, so she did not have to follow the family's custom. Tianxian was enjoying the food in front of her, but paused when she heard these words. She seemed somewhat bewildered. Little Nine of the Mu family. This name seemed somewhat familiar, and she seemed to have heard it somewhere. However, she could not remember it. The servant looked at Tian Xian with a sarcastic smile. Noble lady, look, I didn't expect such vulgar countryside people in this imperial city. It's as if they hadn't eaten their whole lives. Bang! Dongfang Yu smashed her chopsticks on the table. She was just about to fight back when Tian Xian, sitting next to her, gave her hand a pump and shook her head. We can't bully the weak, and it will bring shame to the Ninth Emperor. With these words, she deliberately lowered her voice to ensure that no one next to her could hear. Me for extra chapters. Otherwise, if people knew that they were the Ninth Emperor's people, but still ate so greedily, it would definitely embarrass the Ninth Emperor. However, she really could not control herself. This outside meal was extremely delicious. It had been countless years since she really enjoyed such a delicious meal that it made her want to cry. Mu Qingya stopped and turned to look at the two girls. She frowned and turned away. Ali, you have to remember that there are still many poorer people in this world than the servants and slaves of our manor. There is no need to judge them, whether they are vulgar or rude. It has nothing to do with us. It is enough for us to know our manners. There was a silence in the tavern. Everyone looked at Mu Qingya longingly and yearningly. Dongfang Yu almost choked to death. No need to judge. She has already said what she should say, vulgar and rude, and yet she says there is no need to judge? Such a bitch. Dongfang Yu sneered. Tian Xian, we are so unlucky today to meet such silly people while we are enjoying delicious food. How dare you? The servant was furious and turned to Dongfang Yu. You were the one who was rude to my noble lady. You blocked her way when you saw that she wanted to enter the tavern. If not for the kindness of my noble lady, these guards would have already beaten you 1,000 times. Tian Xian frowned. A cold light flashed in her eyes. She chose to hold back at first, just not wanting people to know that the Ninth Emperor's people bullied the weak like bullying ants. If people repeatedly provoked her and ignored it, people might think that the Ninth Emperor's people were cowardly and did not dare to fight back. Moreover, Tian Xian was a wolf girl. Wolves were violent and ferocious, and only the Ninth Emperor could make her suppress her inner mania. Now, when she heard the servant's words, her aura turned cold, causing the entire hall's temperature to drop quite a bit. Ali, Mu Qingya frowned and coldly interrupted Ali. Forget it. If others do not know the manners, we cannot do anything. This is what my mother taught me as a child. Just ignore these people. Do not let someone say that the imperial family is a bully. Let's go. Father and mother are still waiting for us at home. Mu Qingya glanced at Tian Xian, turned around, and walked toward the back. Dealing with these people will only ruin my reputation. What will I get even if I win? What a waste of time. Suddenly, Tian Xian grabbed a cup and smashed it on the servant's head. She was so fast that no one could notice it break on the servant's head. Blood flowed from the back of her head, followed by a scream that echoed throughout the restaurant. Dongfang Yu froze and turned to Tian Xian. Didn't we say we can't embarrass the Ninth Empress here? Tian Xian looked at Dongfang Yu and said, the others are so provocative. Do you want a world to say that the Ninth Emperor's people are easy to bully? Want to be even more humiliating then? Dongfang Yu thought her words were reasonable and nodded in approval. That's right. We are representing the Ninth Emperor, so we must not let her be embarrassed. Mu Qingya slowly turned sideways and saw her servant, Ali, falling into a pool of blood. She froze for a long time before rushing toward Ali anxiously. Ali, me for extra chapters. Mu Qingya's face was filled with sorrow and anxiety. The people inside the tavern were also dumbfounded. No one had expected that these two women would dare to attack noble Lattice servant. Moreover, this matter was their fault in the first place. Did they not know who Noble Lady was? And who were they to treat her so? When Noble Lady came, they had blocked her way. They should have allowed the Noble Lady to walk first. This was the proper etiquette. However, these people did not know the etiquette. When a servant tried to teach them a few times, they hit her cruelly and viciously. Mu Qingya's eyes reddened. She stood up from the ground, turned to Tianxian and Dongfangyu and said coldly, "You two girls, you're not only rude but also vicious. Even though Ali is a servant, she and I are like sisters, yet you want to kill her. If you want to hurt someone, it should be me, not Ali." Her face was filled with grief and anger. The crowd murmured to each other, "Noble lady is really kind. Who would treat her servants like sisters as she does? Noble lady is so mighty, yet she does not treat her people as slaves. And there are still people who dare to treat her like this. I see that these two girls are born with evil hearts, like poisonous scorpion women who bully noble lady. Bad women." Chapter 2100. The Past Life 25 Indeed. These two have offended noble lady. They will be doomed. Unfortunately, noble lady is too kind. Usually, when her subordinates make mistakes, she never punishes them severely. If later these two women kneel and beg for mercy, maybe she will be soft-hearted. This kingdom doesn't need a soft-hearted person, but if that person is Mu Qingya, I only like her more. Strong men conquered this land, and the easily soft-hearted people would be hated and bullied. However, if the weak person was Mu Qingya, they really couldn't find the heart in them to hate her. All these years, Mu Qingya had fed the poor to help the world and saved many people. It was said that she had saved Fengyun Kingdom from a pandemic. If not for her, there would be no Fengyun Kingdom. Mu Qingya's face sank. She looked at Ali lying on the ground sorrowfully and ordered the guards to help her up. She then turned to Tianxian coldly. "I don't care. You must apologize to my servant now." Dongfangyu laughed. "If you really care about this servant, instead of making her stay here to accept an apology, you would have brought her in for treatment. Now I understand. The people of Fengyun Kingdom are blind." She heard those people's words clearly just now. Kindness? Ridiculous. Like sisters? It makes people want to laugh. She said she was like her real sister, but did not care about her injuries and just make her stay here. A normal person would have brought her away long ago. Mu Qingya's face stiffened. She clenched her hands tightly before slowly exhaling. "This is for my servant's dignity. If you do not apologize to her, she will never accept treatment. It is not that I do not want to take her away." She lifted her chin proudly and with determination. Her servant had long fainted, unable to utter even a single word, and even needed two guards to hold her up. It was as if they were afraid that she had not left enough blood to survive. How should the servant accept their apology if she was already unconscious? The crowd heard Mu Qingya's explanation and looked at Tianxian and Dongfangyu furiously. Up until this moment, these two women still dare to frame noble lady. Noble lady said that she treated her servant as a sister. If there is no apology, her servant would rather die. They have hurt people to such an extent and refuse to apologize, yet they still want to frame noble lady. They are simply ignorant. Noble lady, in our opinion, it is better to arrest them and beat them until they apologize. Mu Qingya's expression did not falter despite hearing what the crowd said. Her gaze was cold, expressionless. I don't like to punish anyone even if they have made many mistakes. Now, as long as they apologize to my servant, I will forgive them. What I want is just an apology. Seeing that Dongfangyu was about to get up in anger, Tianxian pressed down upon her shoulder and slowly stood up and walked toward Mu Qingya. "You want us to apologize? Then I would like to ask you just what we have done wrong. Earlier, your guards hurt us first, but we put up with that. Then, your servant was rude, but we put up with that too. However, there's a limit to other people's patience. When I can't put up with things anymore, should I just sit still and do nothing about it?" Chapter 2100. The Past Life 25-inch Indeed. These two have offended noble lady. They will be doomed. Unfortunately, noble lady is too kind. Usually, when her subordinates make mistakes, she never punishes them severely. If later these two women kneel and beg for mercy, maybe she will be soft-hearted. This kingdom doesn't need a soft-hearted person, but if that person is Mu Qingya, I only like her more. Strong men conquered this land, and the easily soft-hearted people would be hated and bullied. Me for extra chapters. However, if the weak person was Mu Qingya, they really couldn't find the heart in them to hate her. All these years, Mu Qingya had fed the poor to help the world and save many people. It was said that she had saved Fengyun Kingdom from pandemic. If not for her, there would be no Fengyun Kingdom. Mu Qingya's face sank. She looked at Ali lying on the ground sorrowfully and ordered the guards to help her up. She then turned to Tianxian coldly. I don't care. You must apologize to my servant now. Dongfang laughed. If you really care about this servant, instead of making her stay here to accept an apology, you would have brought her in for treatment. Now I understand. The people of Fengyun Kingdom are blind. She heard those people's words clearly just now. Kindness? Ridiculous. Like sisters? It makes people want to laugh. She said she was like her real sister, but did not care about her injuries and just make her stay here. A normal person would have brought her away long ago. Mu Qingya's face stiffened. She clenched her hands tightly before slowly exhaling. This is for my servant's dignity. If you do not apologize to her, she will never accept treatment. It is not that I do not want to take her away. She lifted her chin proudly and with determination. Her servant had long fainted, unable to utter even a single word, and even needed 2 guards to hold her up. It was as if they were afraid that she had not left enough blood to survive. How should the servant accept their apology if she was already unconscious? The crowd heard Mu Qingya's explanation and looked at Tianxian and Dongfang Yu furiously. Up until this moment, these 2 women still dare to frame Noble Lady. Noble Lady said that she treated her servant as a sister. If there is no apology, her servant would rather die. They have hurt people to such an extent and refuse to apologize, yet they still want to frame Noble Lady. They are simply ignorant. Noble Lady, in our opinion, it is better to arrest them and beat them until they apologize. Mu Qingya's expression did not falter despite hearing what the crowd said. Her gaze was cold, expressionless. I don't like to punish anyone even if they have made many mistakes. Now, as long as they apologize to my servant, I will forgive them. What I want is just an apology. Seeing that Dongfang Yu was about to get up in anger, Tianxian pressed down upon her shoulder and slowly stood up and walked toward Mu Qingya. You want us to apologize? Then I would like to ask you just what we have done wrong. Earlier, your guards hurt us first, but we put up with that. Then, your servant was rude, but we put up with that too. However, there is a limit to other people's patience. When I can't put up with things anymore, should I just sit still and do nothing about it? A cold aura filled up the hall. The fierceness in Tianxian's eyes somehow made Mu Qingya stiffen, and her breathing grew a little heavy. The guards had already surrounded Tianxian and Dongfang Yu, and the swords in their hands reflected a cold light. Tianxian smirked as she faced the guards. She obviously was not afraid of them. Suddenly, the tavern fell silent. The crowd turned to look at a figure dressed in a stunning bright red dress. Her face was stunning and beautiful, and her eyes were so domineering. She had such a beautiful face that they had never seen before. They used to think that Mu Qingya was the most beautiful girl in Fengyun Kingdom, but her beauty was just ordinary now compared to this girl. This girl's stunning appearance was something unforgettable. Following behind her was a handsome young man with silver hair, as handsome as an immortal. His eyes were so cold, and there was a silver vertical line between his eyebrows. Even Mu Qingya was stunned for a moment. She had thought that the emperor was handsome enough, but had not thought that there was a young man who could be this stunning. Even his smile amazed her, making her heart skip a beat with an urge to abduct him. Ninth, the moment Tianxian saw the 9th emperor, her eyes were filled with joy, but when she saw that the 9th emperor did not put on her mask today, she held back the words in her mouth. 9th emperor, why are you here? The 9th emperor stepped through the doorway. As she walked into the tavern, the entire hall was shocked with a heavy aura. It was as if a giant mountain fell in front of them, making it a little difficult for everyone to breathe. Me for extra chapters. I'm here to find you guys. Were you bullying people outside? The 9th emperor asked, raising eyebrows. Tianxian lowered her head in shame. We didn't want to disgrace you, so we didn't want to bother with these people. But they were getting too much, so we planned to take action, but then, you were hero. The ninth emperor turned to Mu Qingya and smiled coldly. You were the one who bullied my people just now. Mu Qingya's face changed dramatically, and she took a few steps back. For some reason, her heart trembled a bit when facing this woman. My servant did not intend to offend them earlier, she gritted her teeth and said, but they attacked my servant, and now I just want an apology from her. Apology? The ninth emperor snorted and laughed coldly. My people never make mistakes. Mu Qingya froze and looked at the ninth emperor in dismay. The ninth emperor smiled faintly and said, for that reason, they surely don't need to apologize. Tianxian and Dongfang, you were her people, so of course, she trusted them. If these people had not provoked them first, they would never have made a move. They pushed them and made Tianxian angry to such an extent. Mu Qingya bit her lip and smiled coldly. Maiden, you have made a mistake, and you don't want to admit it? The ninth emperor walked toward Mu Qingya. She looked up coldly at the young girl in front of her. It seems that you have some problems with your ears. I have already said that my people never make mistakes. Boom! She raised her hand, the blast of wind came, and instantly, Mu Qingya's body flew away before falling under the steps, rolling to the ground. Those guards got up and saw Mu Qingya rolling away, and their faces turned pale with fear. They would be doomed if the princess knew that they had failed to protect noble lady. However, before this group of guards could rush toward the ninth emperor, they saw that the young man next to her had already moved his hand. No one even saw clearly how he did it, but in a flash, this group of guards were swept away by the wind, falling wretchedly to the ground. Some did not even have the strength to get up. Perhaps the strength of these two people shocked them. They immediately stood up and no longer cared to stay. They helped Mu Qingya, carried her, and hurriedly left. The ninth emperor took a brief glance at them, then withdrew her gaze and turned to the seating area. Nan Changfeng followed behind her. His face was clear and cold, as if he looked like this for everyone else except for the ninth emperor. I'm hungry. Have them serve the meal. All right, Tianxian and Dongfang Yu also followed and sat with them. Within a few moments, the waiter brought the dishes to the table. Perhaps because of Nan Changfeng's cooking skill, the ninth emperor was not surprised by these meals' deliciousness. The whole tavern was also quiet. The people looked at the ninth emperor with some fear. Who doesn't know that Mu Qingya is the most respectful noble lady? The emperor likes her very much, but now this woman has hurt Mu Qingya, and she will be driven out of this kingdom. As expected for extra chapters. Not long after, another group of guards rushed in, surrounding the entire tavern. Everyone did not even dare to breathe, afraid of getting into trouble. A middle-aged man entered from behind the crowd. He was well-dressed, elegant, handsome, and filled with a domineering aura. Father, I'm fine. Mu Qingya followed behind the middle-aged man with a helpless look. We were just squabbling. If people know, they will think that I can't beat them, and went back to complain. The middle-aged man did not speak. He glanced at the crowd before his eyes fell upon the ninth emperor and the others. Everyone stopped moving after he came, but the ninth emperor and the others did not even look at him. Mu-I frowned. He gently patted Mu Qingya's hand and turned to the group of people in front of him. The woman turned around, and her stunning eyes met the middle-aged man. Her face was so familiar that it made his heart suddenly jump a little. He staggered a bit as he walked quickly toward the ninth emperor. Seeing his approach, Nan Changfeng stood up, pulling the ninth emperor to his side. His brow furrowed slightly, and his gaze was cold. Fortunately, Mu-I only stood in front of the ninth emperor and did not continue approaching her. He looked at the familiar face in front of him excitedly. You are, little nine? The ninth emperor tilted her head to look at Mu-I and frowned. Nan Changfeng looked at the ninth emperor. Do you know him? The ninth emperor was silent for a while. I don't remember very well. Maybe I know him. However, her expression remained calm, and there were no other emotions in her dark eyes. Tianxian finally remembered where she heard this name from. She remembered that someone came to the Ninth Emperor and was looking for Little Nine. But later, no one had come again, and over time, she forgot about this name. Little Nine, where have you been for the past 20 years? He was pleased. I have searched for you for a long time, but have not found you. How have you been these years? Oh, the Ninth Emperor shrugged unconcernedly. I've had a pretty good time all these years. Free, easy, surrounded by many beautiful women. He was dumbfounded. He did not expect that Little Nine could be so calm after not seeing him for so many years. All these years, he never gave up looking for her. Mu Qingya stood next to Yi, clenching her fists tightly. A few moments later, she let go of her hand and walked toward the Ninth Emperor smilingly. So you are Father's daughter? Father has indeed been looking for you for so many years. It's just a pity that Mother stopped all those people from searching for her. Now that Father has married Mother, he has to forget anything from the past. Just now, Mu Qingya pursed her lips, her voice tinged with guilt. It was indeed my fault. No matter what your people did, I shouldn't have stood up for my servant. It's just at that time, I never thought you were Little Nine. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can forgive me. Her eyes were so clear, and her tone was so sincere that it could touch others' hearts. Me for extra chapters. He smiled. This is your family. Don't fight. Little Nine, this is your sister. Forgive her. It's not good to fight with your own family. He subconsciously went to touch the Ninth Emperor's hand. The Ninth Emperor quickly withdrew her hands and held Nan Changfeng's hand. Nan Changfeng stared at that hand, and his gaze softened a lot with a smile in his eyes. The middle-aged man froze, wanting to say something, but in the end, he remained silent. Sorry, the Ninth Emperor smiled faintly. I don't like strangers touching me. If it were good-looking ones, I might be fine, but the older ones, he looked a little embarrassed. Perhaps it was because they had not seen each other for many years that they became a little awkward. He could not blame his daughter for this. Little Nine, it has been a long time since you went home. Why don't you come back with me today? Yes, sister, Mu Qingya smiled. Father has moved out of Moon Manor, but there are still many guest rooms. As long as sister is willing to come back, we still welcome you. And, she pursed her lips, just look at your girl, who is like a wolf swallowing food. They must not have eaten such delicious food for a long time. I really can't imagine what miserable days sister is living outside. In our house, we have everything, the glory and wealth, more than you can imagine. Even though Mu Qingya's words and eyes were sincere, the contempt and mockery in that tone of voice were still clear to Tianxian. Her eyes reddened with anger. Shut up. Others could humiliate her, but she could not accept anyone insulting the Ninth Emperor. Dongfang clenched her fists tightly. She cracked her knuckles, and her eyes were filled with anger. Father, Mu Qingya pursed her lips. Maybe you should not take another wife. You should not remarry in this life. Otherwise, sister won't go back. Mui froze for a moment. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. His mother did not like Little Nine and her mother. She had been forcing him to marry another woman, but at that time, he still chose them. However, when Little Nine's mother was no longer there, and Little Nine left, his mother forced him again, and he no longer had a reason to refuse. Therefore, he finally married the princess as his mother had wished. Never remarry in your life. Someone inside the tavern laughed sarcastically. Which man in this world doesn't have 3 for concubines? And why does he need to stay unmarried just because his wife died? It's ridiculous. I don't know how this woman could think such things. Ridiculous indeed. Such a woman is not worthy of entering the Mu family at all. Moreover, she cannot be compared with noble Lady Qingya. She wants to keep her father unmarried for the rest of his life, and she has even been missing for many years. Since she is missing, why does she still have to boom? This man was not done talking, but his table suddenly exploded, and the dishes splashed, falling all over him. The other one flew away and crashed into the wall before spitting blood. When they looked up, they met the young man's cold eyes, so cold that it made them tremble in fear. Nan Changfeng withdrew his gaze and turned to the Ninth Emperor again. His eyes were filled with warmth as a smile grew upon his face. Ninth Emperor, let's go. The Ninth Emperor looked indifferent. She did not even look at the man and did not care about him. Little Nine, me for extra chapters. The man's heart trembled, and he hurriedly spoke out, stopping her in her tracks. She paused for a moment and smiled, but no turning back. My name is not Little Nine. She only had one title, the Ninth Emperor. This name, she paused for a moment, is too weak and not worthy of me. As soon as she said that, the Ninth Emperor walked out of the tavern. Her footsteps were gentle, but every step fell heavily upon Mu Yi's heart. Tian Xian and Dong Fangyu followed her, and when they left, they looked at Mu Qingya and sneered. My master can't even be compared to millions of you, so don't make a fool of yourself. Otherwise, the miserable one will be you only. The Ninth Emperor had always been proud of herself, and she would not make a move against such a mole. However, when she was really angry, no one could stop her. Mu Qingya's face was pale for a while. She then clenched her fists tightly and took a deep breath before suppressing her anger. She turned to Mu Yi and smiled bitterly. Father, it seems that sister does not like me. I did not know she was my sister before. Otherwise, no matter how rude her people were, I would not have allowed my servant to talk to them. Mu Yi frowned and looked a little sad. She has been away from home for too long and has not returned for a long time. She left when she was so young that she might be a little cold with the Mu family. You're a good girl, and I believe that she will accept you one day. Mu Qingya's gaze sank. Father still wants her to accept me until now. Ridiculous. However, Mu Qingya did not say it out loud. She hesitated for a moment before saying, Actually, I know why my sister doesn't like me. Why? Mu Yi turned to Mu Qingya, confused. Mu Qingya smiled bitterly. Because that young man standing next to sister looked at me several times, and by looking at the way sister looked at him, she seemed to be very fond of him. So maybe she misunderstood me. Mu Qingya sighed and smiled bitterly. I already have a future husband, and I don't have any feelings for that young man. I can't accept him because I know my sister likes him. How could I snatch him from her? But looking at my sister's expression, she really hates me for this. Mu Yi frowned. He was also curious why Little Nine was so cold to Qingya. It turned out that it was because of a man. He frowned harder, and a hint of coldness flashed across his face. Qingya, don't worry. I won't let anyone destroy your sisterhood. That's just a man. Can it be less important than family? Mu Qingya smiled bitterly and said, Father, you understand me, but sister may not understand me. I am most afraid that the young man will come to me, and sister will hate me more. How about we invite sister home? I want to explain to her clearly. All right, Mu Yi nodded slightly. Little Nine has come back to Fengyun Kingdom, so we still have a chance. As for that young man, he is stunning, but Little Nine misunderstands you because of him. In that case, he can't stay by her side. We also have to find a way to get rid of those few impolite servants. Little Nine might not be willing to listen to him earlier, so he had to take some time to persuade her. A smile appeared on Mu Qingya's face. Sister is really beautiful. I like her a lot, so I also hope that she will like me as well. She will. Mu Yi rubbed Mu Qingya's back gently, calming her. Even though he was forced to marry the princess back then, Mu Qingya was still his daughter, and he really loved her. He knew that she was sad because Little Nine had misunderstood her. Why should there be a feud between sisters? He believed that one day Little Nine would accept Qingya because she was really a nice girl. Mu Qingya smiled shyly, but no one noticed a trace of coldness in her eyes when she lowered her gaze. A coldness that made people shudder. After leaving the tavern, the Ninth Emperor looked around and smiled faintly. Dongfang blinked and was curious. Ninth Emperor, that man just now, is he really your father? Ahem. Tian Xian cleared her throat, trying to stop Dongfang Ye's words. The Ninth Emperor smiled faintly. Sort of right. It has been a long time since I came back to Fengyun Kingdom. Let's go. He'll take you guys to my former residence. Former residence? The place where my mother lived. The Ninth Emperor shrugged, and her expression remained calm. Back then, The Mu family did not accept my mother, so they kicked her out. That man also followed my mother and was kicked out of the family. After my mother died, he took me back to the Mu family. But, she paused, I suspect my mother did not die. She just disappeared. I left back then just to find her. Now that I'm back, we'll go there now, and maybe we can find something there. Oh, me for extra chapters. This was the first time Dongfang Yu heard about the Ninth Emperor's mother. She could not help but be a little curious, but she did not pursue the matter further. After all, that should be the Ninth Emperor's most painful memory. The courtyard had not been taken care of for a long time, so when they just walked in, they felt the desolation. The weeds were overgrown, and it was dirty, and obviously no one had come to clean them. Back then, her mother liked to play with her in the pavilion, but now that pavilion was no longer what it once was. Ninth Emperor Tianxian was not too happy. That man from the Mu family. He looks like he's too fond of his new wife and daughter. If he really loved your mother, he would have hired someone to clean the courtyard. As expected, all men are bad. The Ninth Emperor did not think so. She walked in, glancing at the entire courtyard. She vaguely remembered the time when she lived here. But these memories began to blur, and perhaps it would not be long before they were forgotten. However, she had never given up trying to find her. Qing Zhu. Nan Changfeng looked at the courtyard and called out faintly. A snake crawled out of his sleeve and transformed into a handsome young man, standing next to Nan Changfeng. Nan Changfeng said calmly, "Clean this courtyard." Qing Zhu froze. Becoming a snake is so difficult. The Ninth Emperor stroked her chin as she smiled and stared at Qing Zhu. Abduct one young man and get another one. Cloud Mountain will have more people to do the chores. I plan to stay here for a while and see if I can find some traces of my mother. After all, this is the only place we lived back then, and she disappeared here. It's just that everyone in the Mu family says she's dead, and that guy really thinks she's dead too. Ninth Emperor, Dongfang Yu spoke with some hesitation. If we stay here, that man will find you again. What are we going to do then? Oh, just kick him out. The Ninth Emperor shrugged and replied unconcernedly. After hearing this, Dongfang Yu quietly sighed with relief, and she knew what to do next. The Emperor's son-in-law's manor. A beautiful woman sat within the main hall. She saw Mu Yi and Mu Qingyao walking in from outside. She stood up and walked toward the two with a smile. This beautiful woman did not look very old, perhaps only around 30 and above, but less than 40. She was graceful and elegant. Her face did not have any wrinkles, and her skin was flawless. "Qingyao, you're back?" She smiled warmly. Mu Qingyao nodded. She seemed like she wanted to say something, but she did not say anything in the end. Mu Yi looked at Princess Qing Luo, pondered for a moment, and said, "I'm a bit tired, so we'll go rest first." He did not say anything about little Nine. If the Mu family's old lady knew about it, he was afraid that she would start making a fuss again. Mu Yi had a bit of a headache as he thought about the old lattice bad temper. He rubbed his temples and walked to the backyard. Qing Luo watched Mu Yi leave, and the smile upon her face gradually disappeared. For many years, Mu Yi had always treated her with respect, so she had already gotten used to him treating her like this. But she was still a bit unhappy. Why was that woman able to get his gentle treatment when she was with him, but not her? "Qingya, did you have something to say to me just now?" Princess Qing Luo turned to look at Mu Qingya. Her face sank. Mu Qingya pursed her lips. "Just now, when I was outside, I met a girl. That girl was a bit rude and hurt me." "What?" King Luo's face changed dramatically. Her expression turned cold. "Who is that girl? How dare she hurt my daughter?" "Mother." Mu Qingya smiled bitterly. "Father came to avenge me, but..." She paused and lowered her gaze helplessly. "Me for extra chapters." But that woman was Little Nine. Little Nine. This name was so familiar to Qing Luo. Familiar to the point that her gaze sank and was filled with a wave of monstrous anger. Her whole face turned cold. "You mean he doesn't care about you being bullied because of Little Nine?" Her daughter was her everything. Who dared to shout rudely in front of her daughter? It was even more outrageous that Mu Yi did not help Qingya. He must still be thinking about that woman. Princess Qingluo hid the coldness in her eyes and said furiously, "Qingya, you must tell your grandmother about this. The only one person who can subdue your father is her." She was a high-ranking princess, but she loved Mu Yi and was unwilling to punish him. At this time, she could only make the old lady of the Mu family settle this. Mu Yi would always listen to his mother. "I'm going to meet little Nine." Princess Qingluo lifted her chin and sneered. Mu Qingya was a little surprised. "Mother, why do you want to see her? She must have a purpose coming here this time. She may want to follow Mu Yi to this manor to take all the glory and wealth. How can I allow her to do so? Your father has always been soft-hearted. He might agree to give it all to her after seeing her crying a few times. But I will never allow the daughter of another woman to enter this place." Every single thing in this manor was built with her father's money. How could she allow a wild child to enjoy this glory? However, Mu Yi was soft-hearted. Therefore, she had to settle this matter on her own. She could not let that woman have the opportunity to see Mu Yi again. "All right." Mu Qingya gritted her teeth. "Mother, that girl probably hasn't enjoyed any luxury all these years. Her people were gobbling down food as if they've been hungry for a long time. I guess she came back just to enjoy our glory and wealth." And Mu Qingya's eyes flashed a light. "The young man that followed her seemed to have a feeling for me. That girl attacked me because of him. I've told father, but he did nothing." She smiled helplessly as if she was suffering from endless aggression. Hearing that Mu Yi did not protect Mu Qingya, Princess Qingluo's face grew colder. She then clenched her fists tightly. "This matter is not your fault. It is obvious that the man is lustful. He dares to have dirty thoughts about you. They're so rude, but Mu Yi still let her go." Princess Qingluo smiled coldly. "Qingya, don't worry. Mother will never let you suffer. If your father doesn't protect you, but you still have me to protect you. My daughter is so noble. How can I allow that kind of bastard to bully you? Besides, the man who is with her is bound to be a loser. You already have an excellent future husband. Why would you fall for that kind of person?" Mu Qingya suddenly remembered the man's handsome face, and her heart felt a little sad. That young man was indeed stunning. He was the most handsome person she had seen so far. It was a pity that such a young man was with little Nine. As her mother said, the person who was with little Nine would only be a loser. Me for extra chapters. If only, it would be great if she could marry 2 husbands. Mu Qingya lowered her gaze, deep in thought. This matter was not impossible on this mainland. Women who could become the ruler could also have several husbands. As long as her strength exceeded the emperor's jurisdiction, it was not impossible to marry 2 husbands. Mu Qingya's eyes flashed with determination, but her words carried endless aggravation. "Mother, father wants little Nine to come home. I'm also willing to accept her for my father's sake, but she has such a deep misunderstanding of me for a young man. If she comes back, I am afraid that she will hate me more only because of that young man." Qingluo said sarcastically, "If she wants to enter this place, she has to ask me whether I agree or not. Without my permission, how would she enter? Even if your father wanted her to come back, he absolutely could not do so. Even the most generous woman in the world would not raise her husband's other children for him. But, father, it's all right. You don't have to back up your father. There's no way I would agree. Besides, if she brings a lustful man with her, maybe he has a prying eye on you after he enters the manor. In that case, won't she drag down your reputation? Men in this world would do anything for power. It's hard to find a man like your father who does not care about power. Otherwise, I would not have married him." Mu Qingya did not speak anymore. She slightly lowered her eyes, and no one could see the emotions in them. Mu Manor's backyard. An angry voice suddenly came, causing Mu Yi to frown. He turned to look and saw an old lady walking toward him with a crutch, and her pale face was full of anger. "Mu Yi, I heard that little Nine, that wild bastard, has returned." Mu Yi's frown grew tighter, and he looked a little dissatisfied. "Mother, that bastard is also my daughter." "What daughter? can my Mu family ever acknowledge her existence? I tell you, my granddaughter is only Qingya. That bastard is not worthy to enter my Mu family. If you dare to hurt King Luo's and Qingjia's hearts for that bastard, I will never let you go. The cane in her hand almost hit Mu Yi's head. Mu Yi did not dodge, and he looked sad as he lowered his voice. He was always helpless facing the old lady. Mother, no matter what, the blood running in Little Nine is still the blood of our Mu family. You great? For a wild girl, you dare to get angry with me? The old lattice cane ruthlessly knocked on the ground. Her old face was full of anger, with her ruthless eyebrows. I tell you, you must kick Little Nine out of the family. We shall not see her again. Otherwise, I don't want to see you anymore, and I will never allow you to do such a heartless thing for a wild girl. Mu Yi was dumbfounded. He really did not understand why it was so hard for her to allow him to meet his daughter. Besides, Little Nine had never done anything wrong. His mother hated Little Nine's poor mother, and if her mother had not treated her that way, she would not have left home for years and not returned. Now he wanted to take his daughter back, and what was wrong with that? Mother, I really don't understand why you dislike Little Nine so much. She is still my daughter. Mu Yi closed his eyes, and his tone was filled with grief. Me for extra chapters, because she doesn't deserve to be your daughter. Old Lady Mu sneered. A wild child born by a bitch. How can she be compared with the high and mighty princess? Qingya is the daughter of the princess. She is much nobler than her. What qualifications does she have to enter the door of this house? This is Mu Manor, not a place where any wild girl can run wildly. Moreover, I also heard that you made Qingya sad for this wild girl. If the guards did not tell me, I would not even have known that you could hurt Qingya for that bastard. I even heard that the man with that wild girl is bad, and he is actually spying on our Qingya. Did you not see him? Is he worthy of marrying our Qingya? What kind of status did a person who was with Little Nine have? Such a person who still wanted to marry Qingya was simply a lazy toad wishing to eat swan's meat. Whimsical, simply ridiculous. Mother, seeing old Lady Mu insulting his daughter, Mu Yi's face could not help but sink. That is my daughter. It's true. You won't even listen to me anymore, for the wild girl's sake. Old Lady Mu trembled with anger. She could hardly stand, and her hand holding the cane was shivering. Suddenly, her eyes rolled upward, and she fainted in front of him. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.